DreAllDay.com.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us out there, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then what we do so we put all this together into one streamlined framework. We have codified this entire system. We created a university for people to be coached directly by me in it. We have a book on the subject if you like to read, and hopefully you do. And you're listening to the daily masterclass that is called, all of this is called the same thing. It is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is surviving the B-roll footage in order to get to your highlight reel. Now, I told you that we'd be talking about over the last couple days, today and also tomorrow's episode, and tomorrow's episode, we're gonna be talking about this challenge that some of us go through at different times. Some of us go in and out of these feelings. Some people maybe have this as a sustained feeling of you're not quite getting the results that you want in life, even though you feel like you've been working. You have been, putting that time in and putting the effort in and giving your attention and focus to what you want to do, but is not quite turning over. It's not giving you the results that you want to get. And then when you look around, it seems like everyone else is getting the results that they want. Everyone else, their stuff happens to be working out and yours is not. And you're figuring, man, I work just as hard, if not harder than them. I deserve success just as much, if not more than them. Why is it not working for me, but it seems to be working for everyone else? So today, the angle that we're approaching this from is when you're dealing with the B-roll footage of your life and you want to get to the highlight reel. So if anyone doesn't know what those phrases mean, I'm going to define them. So everybody knows what exactly we're talking about as we get into this conversation. What is B-roll footage? B-roll is supplemental or alternative footage intercut with the main shot. So anytime you watch for example, some people when they post videos to social media or YouTube, you'll see them talking, but then they'll have little clips while their voice is still going, but you're not seeing them anymore. And you'll see them maybe doing something, or it'll be like, it's things to just keep your eyes engaged instead of just looking at a person. Like right now, there may not be any B-roll in this video. If you're watching this on video, there's no B-roll. It's just me sitting here. This is all A-roll. That's what they call it, or just the main shot, which is me right here. But B-roll is when you take, let's say you can still hear my voice, but then you're seeing me maybe playing basketball, or you're seeing me driving a car, or you're seeing me on the stage talking, but you're not actually hearing what I'm saying on the stage, but my voice is still going. That's B-roll footage. So it's kind of like the background stuff. It's the supplemental stuff. And sometimes B-roll footage is material that otherwise would have been left on the cutting room floor, but it gets used as kind of like background again for whatever the main shot happens to be. Now, what is a highlight? Now, I think everyone is much more familiar with the concept of a highlight, but let's define it anyway. Highlight is defined as a compilation of clips from videos that you have produced that best represent the work for which you expect to either be hired or you expect to show off or to impress other people. So the highlights are just the best stuff that you've done that you're going to use to put your best foot forward. That's what a highlight is. Everyone, I think, has a pretty good understanding of the concept of a highlight. So today what we're talking about, when we compare the B-roll footage to the highlight footage, the highlights are the things that are all your successes, all your big wins, the stuff that you want everybody to know about, the stuff that you would announce from the rooftops if you could, maybe you can, versus the B-roll, which is the stuff that it happened, but it's not really that exciting. Maybe you're not excited about it at all. Maybe you're not even proud of it. Maybe you would prefer that nobody even knows about it. All right, how do you deal with the times when you're going through B-roll footage in your life? Because every single person goes through situations in life that to them, again, this is all about perspective, that to them feels like it is B-roll footage. And we all have situations that we call highlights. And for the most part, I'm going to go out on a limb here. And if I'm wrong, somebody can let me know. But for the most part, we all experience a lot more B-roll than we experience highlights. So since the majority of your time is going to be spent in B-roll footage, how do you deal with the times that you're in that B-roll situation? And how do you survive it enough to get to whatever that next highlight is going to be? That's the question that we're answering here today. Now, all of us, again, as I said, we have both. And based on our perspective, it can be more or less. And it may appear that other people have more or less B-roll versus highlight footage in their lives, but we all have both. So today's topic is about getting through what you see as that B-roll in your life so you can get to more of the highlight stuff, the things that we enjoy doing, the things that we want the whole world to know about versus the stuff that we definitely don't want a camera in the room. Point number one. Today's topic, once again, is getting past the B-roll to get to our highlight footage. First thing you gotta do is stop demanding and expecting perfection of yourself. Stop expecting that your whole life is supposed to be just one continuous highlight reel. Stop thinking that everything that you do and everything that you say and every representation of you to the world has to be perfect in some way. Now, I know this is a hell of a challenge for me to even be saying this because depending on, again, your perspective and the way that you consume material out there in the world from other people, maybe you have followed and watched and consumed material from some people who, it seems, based on what they show you, everything they do is a highlight. Every single thing they do is just a highlight reel. They always look perfect. They always sound perfect. Even the stuff that's supposed to be the B-roll is still 10 levels above your best highlights. How do you deal with these situations? You might be thinking right now of somebody who fits that description. You're like, all right, but you're telling me to stop demanding and expecting perfection, but that's all you see. I mean, when you look at ads on the internet and you look at people who are famous influencers and you look at those who are held up as the pictures of success or the pictures of beauty or the pictures of doing everything right, it seems like everything they do is a highlight because that's just the way that they set it up. They set up their image so that it appears that way. And this is what causes so many of us to have so much trouble dealing with our own B-roll footage of our lives because we expect that we have to live up to that standard in order to create success. Okay, so this guy, who everything we see about him is perfect. Every picture looks like he stepped out of a photo shoot. His hair always looks like he just got it done. His clothes look like they just got pressed and came from the cleaners. His car looks like it just came from the car wash. Everything about him just seems perfect. It doesn't seem like this guy ever has B-roll footage in his life, and he's successful. This is what success is. Okay, I got to do that to become successful. So every second that you spend in B-roll footage because you don't see any B-roll footage from him, you're like, all right, I must be losing because everything this guy does is a highlight. Every time I see him is a highlight. Every time I hear about him is a highlight. It seems like everything he talks about and everything about him and everything surrounding his name is a highlight. So any moment that the consumer, is not in a highlight, then I'm not living up to the same standard that this guy's living at. So therefore, I'm falling behind. This is where this comes from. This is how you get into this mentality. We expect everything to be a highlight because either we have just created that expectation on our own, but usually that's not the case. If you're a human being and you're alive and you have control of all 5 of your senses, then you definitely can't say any idea that you have. Not a single one is 100% just from your own thoughts. Nobody's ideas are 100% original from their own thoughts. They come from our interactions and engagements with other people, whether they're people that we know. It could be somebody you walk past on the street. It could be something that you read in a magazine, something that you heard online. Everything is seeded in some way, even subconsciously, from the interactions and dealings that we have just with everyday life. So part of it is not an unknown reason, it's a known reason. Now, how much of the mix is coming from you, how much is coming from maybe parental influence, how much is coming from your friends, how much is coming from what you're looking at on the internet, we don't know. That could be a completely different mix depending on who the person is, but none of it is 100% just coming from within us. Do you understand what I'm saying? Maybe it's because you're looking around a lot. You do a whole lot of looking around. You gotta maybe have a whole lot of that shiny object syndrome we talked about a couple days ago. And understand that shiny object syndrome doesn't have to be an object. It doesn't have to be a car or a house or a purse or a pair of shoes. A shiny object could be another person. It could be the way another person presents their lifestyle. It could be the way another person talks and says, well, this is the way it's always supposed to be. That could become a shiny object to you because now you're like, all right, I have to live up to that standard of what this person said life is supposed to be like. So because you're looking around so much and all you see is highlights, you don't think your B-roll is worthy of even being lived. You're like, damn, I'm really fucking up here because everybody else is getting all highlights. They're 95% highlights. I'm 95% B-roll. What the hell is wrong with me? And before you know it, now you're in depression because you're beating yourself up for not being as perfect as what you see and hear and perceive from the outside world. And even these people who may be claiming to show you, may be claiming to be showing you the B-roll of their lives, even the B-roll looks good. You're like, damn, even when this person has a bad day, it's 10 times better than my best day. And they're showing you the part. Understand that when people are showing you what they claim to be the B-roll of their lives, they're showing you the B-roll that makes them look good. Okay, it's still staged. Okay, so when a person is showing you, a girl posts a picture and say, hey, I'm posting a picture with no makeup. All right, she probably took 80 of those photos before she found the perfect one with no makeup, just to show you how normal she is. Okay, and some of you know exactly. I'm talking about some of you who are listening to me right now. So understand that B-roll footage that you're seeing and hearing from everybody else is not necessarily, that's not really their real B-roll. Okay, everybody's real B-roll material, all right, they ain't posting on the internet. All right, they ain't making advertisements out of it. They don't want anybody to know about it. That's the stuff that ends up in gossip blogs that they would rather people didn't see. Okay, none of us shows our real B-roll, because the real B-roll of anybody's life is very unflattering. Okay, just like yours is, and just like mine is, we all have unflattering B-roll. That's the stuff that we don't take pictures of. That's the stuff we don't post videos of. We don't talk about. And that applies to everyone. Everybody's real B-roll footage, again, that would be on hidden cameras, police reports, TMZ articles. All right, stuff that people probably prefer you not see in the first place. So do not be fooled when you see and hear what other people consider to be, or they're claiming to be. They're presenting as their B-roll. It's not really their B-roll. They curated even that. Point number 2. Today's topic is getting through your own B-roll in order to get to your personal highlight reel. Stop trying to appear perfect and great to everyone else. Even though I know you see examples of people who try to do this, and some of them may even pull it off, you don't need to try to do it. That's not the standard that I would suggest you try to live up to. And here's the main reason why. Other people do not care about or think about you as much as you do. Not nearly as much as you think they're thinking about you. They're really not. Even the people that you look at, and it seems like they have all this attention, really when we're looking at another person and paying them so much attention, what we're really doing is using them as a frame of reference for ourselves. So you're looking at that influencer or that famous person online or the person in the advertisement, and what you're really thinking about is, okay, what this person is doing and what this person represents, what does that say about me? How does that reflect back to me? How can I use this? What do I care about this individual? Every time we're looking at and talking about and thinking about another person, most of the time, we're really just using them as a frame of reference for ourselves. I talked about this in my book, Work on Your Game, which you can get at workonyourgamebook.com. When people are talking about you, they're not really talking about you. I mean, they're using you, but they're really talking about themselves. You just happen to be the canvas on which they're painting their words. They're just using you to talk about themselves. Now, when people use themselves to talk about themselves, we call that therapy. All right, and everywhere else we call that, life. All right, just talking about other people. People talk about others in negative ways just to get the steam out of themselves. We call that the internet. All right, but stop trying to appear perfect and great to everyone else, because you do not matter. You are not that significant to other people, just like other people are not that significant to you if you really think about it. Every single one of us is self-focused and self-centered. And this is not a negative thing. All right, you should be self-focused and self-centered, because if you're not, then there's probably nobody paying any attention to you, and you're probably not going to end up with a good outcome in life if that's the way it is. In other words, stop being embarrassed by the B-roll footage of your life that you see 100% of, because you're there every time, everywhere you go and everything you do, you're there. All right, you're the only one who sees everything. And stop worrying that other people may be judging you because of the B-roll footage that you live. First of all, other people aren't even seeing your B-roll. And second of all, even if they did, they don't really care that much, because everybody needs to get back to focusing on the most important thing to themselves, which is themselves. Everybody does this. You as well. Nobody is judging or thinking about you nearly as much as you think they are. And damn near not even 1% as much as you are judging and thinking about you. So the same way that you don't really think about other people that much, all right, people don't pay that much attention to your highlights or your B-roll footage when you really think about it. All right, your highlights are really serving you much more than they're serving other people. Even when other people tell you that your highlights inspire them, yes, they do inspire them. But listen to what they're saying. Your highlights inspire them. All right, your highlights is doing something for them. It's not, they don't really give a damn about you as much as you give a damn about you. They might care about you. They don't care about you that much. Even your parents, your kids, your husband, your wife. They really got to focus on them at least as much as they focus on you. Again, remember the 51-49 rule. People don't pay that much attention to you. All right, how many people, who do you pay attention to? Who do you pay attention to more than you pay attention to yourself? Can you name one person? Maybe your child. If you have a dependent child, maybe your child will qualify. Other than that, nobody. All right, if you're in a relationship and you're an adult, all right, not even that person. All right, you still got to care for you just as much as you care for them. Because if you ain't taken care of, then you definitely can't do anything in a relationship with another person. A business relationship, no, forget about it. A parent, no, forget about it. If you're a parent with adult kids, no, you did your job, it's over. All right, how much of other people's highlights do you even remember? And if you do remember them, you only remember them for one reason, because of how it makes you feel. Because it wasn't what it does for you, not what it does for them, is what it does for you. That's what matters. All of us are self-centered individuals, and I'm not telling you this, again, this is not a negative thing. This is just human nature. So with all this being said here, we're still on point number 2. When you're striving so hard to appear perfect and great and show just your highlights to everyone else, or make your life appear or feel like a highlight to everyone else, understand nobody else gives a damn, because they are way too focused on what they got going on to even give a damn about what you're trying to show them. They're not even noticing. It might look like they're paying attention, but they're not really. Again, it's like when you're in school and your teacher's up in the room talking and you're looking at the teacher. It looks like you're paying attention, but if the teacher was to stop and ask you what she just said, you wouldn't be able to say a damn thing. So you're looking, you're paying attention, but you're not focused. Those are two completely different things. You can pay attention to something but not be focused. It means you're here, but you're not listening, if you understand what I'm saying, metaphorically. Let's move on to point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is surviving your own B-roll of your life in order to get to the highlight reels of your life. Number 3, remember that the B-roll footage that you live of your life, the hard days, the toil, the sweat, the blood, the tears, the times when you're frustrated, the times when things are not working out, the times when things are just not going the way that you want them to go, and it seems like everybody else is living a highlight and you're living down in the dumps, and you're dumpster diving for success, and you ain't coming up with nothing but dead rats. Understand that the B-roll footage lays the foundation for your highlights. The work you do when no one is watching and when no one is paying attention, and there's no attention or fame or likes or engagement to be gained from the work that you're doing, that work, all right, that's the work that affords you the opportunity to draw attention and then be seen and look like a star in front of an audience. So for example, as an athlete, when you're in the gym in practice every single day and there are really no cameras, and even if there was, not really that much interesting about it, that kind of stuff, all right, those are the things that set the team up to go play in the games when all the fans are watching, and then they can show off and get all their attention and get the votes and get the media articles written about them and get fans and followers and all of that. It's the B-roll stuff. And if any of you play the sport, you spend a lot more time practicing than you spend playing. All right, there are a lot more practices than there are games. I don't care what sport you play. That applies to everybody. There's much more time in practice than there is time in the game. A boxing match, for example, if it goes 12 rounds, 3 minutes per round, if my math is correct, we're looking at 36 minutes. A 36-minute boxing match, and a fighter might train for 6 months for a 36-minute boxing match. Much more time doing B-roll than there is the highlights. And that's if they win the fight. And if they win the fight, the highlight reel of a fight, when I watch highlight reels of boxing matches, the reels might be 5 to 10 minutes at the most. If the fight even goes the distance, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. So 5 to 10 minutes of all of that work, all that training, your whole lifetime becoming a boxer, the whole 6 months getting ready for the fight, the whole 36 minutes of the fight. The only thing that most people are ever going to see is the 5 to 10 minutes of the highlight reel, and they only remember it because of what it does for them, not what it did for you. Interesting, isn't it? And understand, this applies to everybody. Now, you don't have to be a boxer. This is for all of us. In sports, practice every day, all the off-season training, that is the B-roll. Even though, technically these days we can film all that and put that out too, make a highlight out of that. But the whole point is that's the B-roll, the thing that you really get paid for, the thing you get paid attention to for, the thing you get compensated for is what you do in the games, which get cut up into the highlights. What we do during the season when everybody's watching, those are the highlights. Now, again, everybody can make highlights out of their B-roll, but the principles are still the same and they still apply. If you're for example, a model, I had some experience in modeling. I didn't really like it. Not because I didn't like the pictures. I didn't like the fact that you do a whole lot of standing around doing nothing when you're doing modeling, or any of you ever done TV or movies or any kind of filming, even commercials. It's way too much standing around, sitting around, doing absolutely nothing while the the people. I don't even know what to call these individuals. They're setting up the lighting and the shot, and then let's try it again, then let's try it again. And then it seems like you're sitting there for an hour and it doesn't really seem like anybody's doing anything. They're doing stuff, but it doesn't really seem like they're doing anything. Then they're like, all right, we're ready. And you spend 8 hours on the set all day for like 5 minutes of filming. I'm like, yo, this shit is boring as fuck. So it wasn't really for me. But any of you who works in those industries, in modeling or film or television or anything like that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The B-roll. Now, while in modeling, film, and TV, you do have actual B-roll, but what I'm talking about here, metaphorically for this topic, the B-roll is all the time you sit around on the set doing absolutely nothing while you're waiting for the production crew to set up the shot. Then you get to get on camera for 30 minutes or an hour or 5 minutes or the 10 pictures that they take out of the shoot. You shot 1,000 of them, but only 10 of them even go into your book. All right, that's the B-roll. And if you're not willing to deal with the B-roll of a job, then I would suggest you probably not do that job. Now, there's some people who say, you don't have to love the B-roll part of a job as long as you love the result of the job. I'm a person who said, I would say like the B-roll. All right, do something where you can at least embrace the B-roll part of the job because it's going to be a big part of the job. If you don't love doing the B-roll part of it, then it's going to be a challenge. It's going to become a drag. And I don't know how built you are for that drag. Some people are built for it, some people ain't. Just my advice that I would give. Again, we call that the third day. And that's the reason why work is work. We call it work for a reason. And we have a master class on that exact topic, which is class number. Let me tell you what that is. I'll tell you in a minute. Let me recap the class first. And if I don't find it, I'll tell you tomorrow. Today's topic, once again, is surviving the B-roll in order to get to your highlight reel. Definition of B-roll is supplemental or alternative footage intercut with the main shot, while a highlight is a compilation of clips from what you produce to best represent you and put your best foot forward. Now, while all of us have both in our lives, it is all relative, whether we're in B-roll or in a highlight. Some people can see your B-roll as a highlight. Some people see your highlights as a B-roll. It's all based on perspective of each individual person. But we're talking about today getting through that B-roll stuff so we can get to the highlights and enjoy showing ourselves off to the world. Number one, stop expecting and demanding perfection of yourself. Though I know that the media and the world may show you perfection from other people or make it seem like everything that person does is perfect, understand that's all part of the game. It's all part of the hustle, and you are the one being hustled. Nobody is 100% perfect. Nobody lives their entire lives as a highlight, even though it may appear that way. What I'm going to challenge you to do is to understand that the same way that you have B-roll footage in your life, other people have the exact same B-roll footage. You might not know about it. That's because you don't see everything that happens in another person's life, even if they make the show of showing you everything that's happening. They're not really showing you everything. The everything is the parts that they don't want you to know about, and you never will. And same way nobody knows about the B-roll in your life. You don't want people to know about it. There's a reason why people don't. All right, TMZ is for all the stuff that people don't want you to know about. All right, and they ain't got everybody. Point number two, stop trying to appear perfect and great to everyone else. Why? Because other people do not care about or think about you as much as you think about and care about you. Everybody on this planet is self-focused. All right. If you think other people are really focusing on you, ask yourself this question: how much time do you spend really focusing on other people? The answer is probably not much. And guess how much other people are spending time focusing on you? Probably not much. Point number three, remember that B-roll footage lays the foundation for the highlights. The work you do when nobody is watching and when there is no attention to be gained, that is what affords you the opportunity to draw attention, to be seen, and to look like a star in front of an audience. So in sports, for example, the everyday, the practicing, the off-season training, all the working out, that is the B-roll. If you're working in TV or film, just sitting around on a set waiting for them to call you and say, all right, now it's time for you to film for 5 minutes, and you got to sit around for another 2 hours, that is the B-roll that allows the TV show or the movie or the photo shoot to come together and look amazing. But I would suggest that you embrace the B-roll of anything that you're going to pay attention to, everything you're going to partake in, rather, especially your own life, in order for you to get to those highlights. Now, you're ready to create those highlights for yourself, and you're ready to go through that B-roll in a disciplined way, in a strategic way that's going to actually create the outcomes that you want. I would love to coach you myself at Work on Your Game University. Get full details and get started working with me directly and going through our entire Work on Your Game codified system by going to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.